How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome to episode, I believe it's 22 now. We're getting up there, of the Ultimate Survival Guide. Now, we made it to Act 6 recently. We just finished off Katava after having our first death to Innocence. Yeah, that was kind of poetic in a way, wasn't it? That was the exact boss that I kind of expected I would die to, and would kind of be a roadblock, but surprisingly, I actually did quite well against him, and the DPS for the character is actually doing rather decently. It's not like some sort of, double wands arc witch that just blows the entire planet away, but it is something consistent and tanky. Now, that being said, I say consistent and tanky and all these sorts of things, and I've shown you how this build works, of course, and how tanky we are. Act 6 is about to shove an iron rod 10 feet up my ass, because this act likes to do a lot of damage very, very quickly. The reason for that, I was talking about in one of the last episodes, is that after you kill the Act 5 Katava, your resists get fucking shot. Essentially, they all get reduced by 30%. Now, the reason that this act is such a massive problem, or becomes such a massive problem, is that 30% resists deficit happens, and then this act actually does all 3 damage types at the same time. It's pretty fucking brutal. So you can cap your fire res, but essentially, as the moment you walk out this door, you're instantly contending with fire totems, ice-based enemies, and then a few zones later, you have all lightning-based enemies and a lightning-based boss. So you have to cap your fire res for Tukohama, which is the first boss that comes up, who also does a lot of cold damage, and all of his trash mobs do cold damage. And then the next boss that comes up is lightning damage. And yeah, it's pretty fucking brutal. And then you have to do Beacon, which I'll explain when we get there, which is one of my most hated places in the game, aside from, Innocence and that sort of stuff. I'm still clamoring on for that adventure mode. Still clamoring on for it. But yeah, so we're going to do a couple of things. We're probably going to try and craft if I have anything available. I have a little bit available, but really not that much. No, this is difficult. That needs to get better. That definitely needs to get better. I mean, I am kind of trudging through with complete trash right now, so I may try and make something reasonable. Yeah, I think so. On the topic of that, actually, for those of you who are, on par with the series and, watching as, how do I say this? As relevantly and as closely as possible, I will be working on a new upcoming series that will be a 13-part series. Yeah, I know, it's gonna be an experiment, that's for sure. It's gonna be an achievement once I finish it. It's gonna be about crafting. I'm gonna be going through every single slot, there's 13 slots, I'm funny. And I'm gonna be trying to craft and showcase all of my information that I have on crafting for making a rather decent item in every single slot. Now, that being said, I'm going to also do probably a 13-part series on buying items later on, as well as I'm going to cover buying items in this series later on and that sort of stuff. But I want to go as intricately as possible into crafting items as well. Thing is setting up that series is going to take a bit of time because I need, a lot of alterations. I need a lot of regals and that sort of stuff. I've shown you guys the basics of how I like to craft, but I want to kind of lay out everything and explain everything as easily and as well as I can. So with that series, I'm going to be able to hopefully do that for you. Now, that should be coming up in probably the next week or two. There should be some start of that. I want to start it before the next league kind of hits. Next league is so far stated for March 8th. So that should be very, very intriguing. That's for sure. Okay. Now, that being said, I do have a very minor amount of stuff to craft with. I could make a weapon. It's probably not going to happen. One thing I do want to do, that is a horrible implicit roll. I want to get a leather belt and a better necklace. However, I don't have any blessed orbs. I'm basically running on fumes at this point. So what I'm going to do is, instead of going to the Act 6 vendor, we're going to check the Act 5 vendor and see if there is any higher implicits for a leather belt. You can do this to get whatever type of base you're looking for if they sell from vendors. However, the biggest thing is that the farther you go back, the lower the item level of the item becomes. There isn't even one here. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. That's a minor predicament. Do I have any stat cutoffs? Dexterity. Now, I could go for like a dex necklace, like a dex necklace base. However, if I do that, then I start leveling up my hatred or something, and I take off said necklace. You guys might hear a doggo in the background as a cameo today. If I put on a dex necklace and I level up my dex gems and I take off the dex necklace, it kind of fucks the gem a little bit. So, don't really want to go for that. Probably just want a strength one. You see that item level there? That will progressively go down as I go farther and farther back in acts and check, you know, farther back vendors. However, that implicit roll, we're trying to get that as high as possible. And in this case, I'm probably just going to go strength, but I'm not going to go for that one because it's bottom roll. I'll go back one more and see if there's anything in Act 4. So it was eye level 45. If there's anything lower, if it's like under eye level 40, I think I'll just farm until I get one. I mean, I'm gonna run Twilight Strand for the quest, and I may end up actually, like, I don't know, maybe running it twice. It's probably the safest area in the entirety of Act 6. That's not even a meme, sadly. That's the weapons vendor, wrong person. And no leather belt, fuck. Eye level 40, exactly on the mark. 16 all attributes. Remember, we don't want. Really? Fucking really? What are these rolls, man? Oh, this is horrible. Okay. Well, that's pretty fucking terrible. I mean, the only good thing about this is a max life. I was looking for like a max life resists type of thing, but that's most likely not gonna happen. Oh well, that's pretty fucking horrible. 40. Alright, I guess we're going for it. Do I have a scour? I don't even have a scour. God, I feel like hella Jewish right now. Hella Jewish right now. Oh well, I'll check one more time to see what he actually has in its entirety. Not that. Strength, strength. Okay, he's got a 27 strength, so that's good. I'll grab that. And 9% lightning res. That is technically better than what I currently have. That is technically better. So we'll grab that. I mean, any resist is nice, and then we're going to augment it. And that's kind of meh. I mean, yeah, what I've got is strength. Strength, but do I have any essences? I could cheat. Oh, shit, hello. 25 eye level, though. Honestly, it may roll better. It honestly may roll better. 28, 28. You know, that's legit better than what I have. Even though its eye level is piss poor. 1700. I'll take it. I didn't really lose any DPS. I lost like 100 DPS for that. I mean, yeah. I'll keep it on hand. I'd rather have the life for this act. If I have to go a little slower, then that's fine. But we're going to roll this. 20 strength, 9% armor. We want resists here. I have 5 chances. Fizz to attacks is good. I'm torn because that's really decent. But, I mean, I got 3 attempts. That's worth it. And that's on the money. That's on the fucking money right there. Perfect. That 70% is going to really help out when we get later into this act. Let's make sure my mouse wheel fucking works. I almost want to take that cold res point right now, just because I know this act is going to fucking ruin me. I think I'm going to. I know I was going for Golem's blood, which I still do want, but for the moment, just because of this act, I'm going to take this point. And I'm going to take this out later. This is a way that you can kind of plan around what you're doing, right? Because you do have the refund points available. So I'm going to put the point in here, and then eventually, after we clear through this act and I don't need the resist anymore, or I gear better, then I'm going to take that point out again, and we will be good to go. Now, a few other things I have found out about Marauder, not so much found out, but realized, is there's another all-res node right here, and then there's resist right here. So, if you come through up here and gotten the life nodes and the attack speed, which is pretty good. I found this out playing totems. I was going for Totemic Zeal, and I was like, oh shit, there's 10% all res, 1 point beside me. So that is an option. One other thing is there's all res right here, and there's all res on these nodes as well. So if you're really, really struggling, or someone's playing in like a -40 private league or some shit, those options are available. Okay, now I left off on the last episode saying to clear the Twilight Strand. Reason is you'll see this empty box right here. Once you clear Twilight Strand, the NPC who brought you here by ship will sit right there. Now, why is that important? Because she sells you every single skill gem that you basically have access to up to this point. And then when you get to Act 10, or after you kill the Act 10 boss and enter the epilogue or prologue, whatever it is, she sells you every single skill gem in the game. However, at that end point, if you haven't finished this quest, she will not talk to you at all. Even if you've finished the entire game, if you haven't finished this quest, she will not trade with you. So make sure to grab that. That is on the base of the dock. I showed you that last episode. And then come down here and go out to the Twilight Strand. Me too, dog. It's such a tough life. I don't know. I don't know how my dog does it, man. He just sleeps all day. Gets human attention. Such a difficult life. I don't know. Alright. If you want to be kind of on the defensive side. Man, I'm so used to playing like fast totem builds now. I've been playing a, what was it? A War Chief Berserker as of recently. So, I've been playing quite a bit of that. Sunplate, that's probably going to be a leg up on what I have currently. I mean, mine rolled very, very well. Good max life. Better armor, but that's about it. Biggest thing is that I'm not going to be looking to replace any of my resistance gear right now. All fucking 1 or 2 pieces of it. But still. The plan is to keep as much resist gear on as possible right now. Even if it's just trashy gear. Because this act is heavily, heavily built on punishing you for resistance shortcomings is the words I'm going to use. Because this act will fuck you up very, very heavily. Do I want to turn on Herald of Ash? I could probably do it. I don't know why it's not on right now, if I'm honest. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, I remember someone put a comment on one of the videos saying that after we killed Innocence, I forgot to turn my Herald of Ash back on because he killed me. Yeah, I remember that now. So yeah, to that one guy, there you go. There you go. Thank you for reminding me of that. It literally came up during the video. Who would have guessed? Okay, so one command that I'm going to teach you very, very quickly that is honestly only really useful for this and for incursions is, you know how there's very many like chat commands in Path of Exile, right? You got the slash passives I showed you before, right? Where it shows you all the passives you've got. You've got, you know, slash, what is it, played. You got slash deaths. You got all this shit, right? One more you got is slash remaining. It shows you how many enemies are remaining in the zone you're in. Reason this is important is it says clear. That means this has to say 0 remaining. So what some people will do is they, well, at least higher end streamers anyways, I don't really care to do things like this because, I mean, it's me. I mean, essentially what they do is they create a mouse macro to input or copy paste in whatever they have set up. So it's very easy for me to do if I wanted to do one because I have a Razer mouse. You know, fucking plugs and all that sort of shit. Sponsor me, lol. Yeah, so I have a Razer mouse and it makes it very easy to make macros and that sort of stuff. I actually had one for Guild Wars 2, and essentially what it would do is when you were running dungeons and stuff, you could type in a /GG command, and if your whole team did that command, it would kill all of you and send you back to the start of the dungeon, and it would reset all of your cooldowns, and it wouldn't take any armor durability. So you would kill the boss, and then the entire team would /GG. And of course, that would make it so you go back to the start, where you can decide which dungeon you're going to do next. But it would also give you all your cooldowns back, right? So you blow all your mega cooldowns on the end boss, and you'd be pretty much done. And it worked out just fine. I'm going to actually run back, because I don't have that many portal scrolls right now. God, I'm living the welfare life right now. That's what this series is for. I know, right, dog? Yeah. But yeah, and what I essentially did was I actually mapped that to one of my mouse buttons. I made a mouse macro that did /GG enter as fast as possible, So I would just like, I'd finish the dungeon, then I would tap the mouse button, and it would do the rest of the job for me. And my character would die and fall over, and we would repeat the process. But what people do is they do that same thing for /remaining. And the reason that's useful is this specific thing right here. Or to make sure you full cleared certain maps, like say you invest heavily late game into a map, into like an Elder map or something. You want to make sure you get as much as possible out of it, right? You burned a bunch of currency to try and get amplified loot drops. You want to make sure you kill everything. So in that scenario, you know, you want to, what is it? You want to press that and make sure you've got like 0 remaining, right? One other thing is that nowadays for Alva, I've shown you her before, I believe. Have I shown you her before? I don't remember. Actually, no, she's coming up in like Act 7. She's coming up soon. One of the next master that comes up, essentially there is, from my experience, this could be a placebo effect, so don't entirely quote me on this. But from my experience, when you do Alva content, which I'll show you when we get there, there is a 100% completion, like a loot bonus. Now, that may be a placebo effect, but it feels like when I have everything in the area killed, I get a lot more loot than I do if I have everything but 1% killed. It feels like I lose out quite a bit in that scenario, or the loot explosion just isn't half as good. Now, that could be not legit, but from my experience, it feels legit, and that's mostly the same as that scenario. Okay, don't have the dex. I could cheat here. Well, I can't anymore. But I was going to say that because that's a 4-link, which is quite nice, I could grab this and then, you know, get a dex necklace. Problem is that, 1, it's a sword, so I can't use it for Sunder. And 2, I already don't have a dex. And 3, rolling it to be good is difficult when I have no currency. So, yeah. But these are the enemies that do fire damage. You'll find that once we get to the next area, which is Mudflats, you'll see the fire totems that are popping up. And you'll see a lot of ice damage as well, or a lot of cold damage. Which, like I said, will wreck you since your resists are below average. So if you find yourself dying to this area, see there's ice damage right there from the rangers, who do extra cold damage, because fuck you, that's why. I'm gonna grab those. If you die in this area, don't feel too bad about it. Like, every time I roll a new character, or like I try to speed level a character, this is the one area that I either, you know, run through as fast as possible, because I don't want to deal with like the bullshit of getting one-shot by resists I don't have, because it's even worse when I'm leveling. Because, yeah, I have like near cap resists thanks to endurance charges, right? Which makes my life very nice. But if I'm playing a character that I'm trying to speed level on, it's a lot worse, because what ends up happening is those characters don't really have any resists at all. I mean, unless I'm going, you know, a Lyra Diamond Skin Elemental Focus to give me like cap resists before my character even breathes. That is what I do most times if I'm playing Marauder. However, certain builds like the Berserker that I went for don't use either of them, or didn't use either of them until later, and I realized I needed it because I was running like 4 or 5 uniques and had no space for actual, I had no space. You can see Doggo. You can see Doggo, like, hang on, I'm trying to maneuver it with camera. Where is it? Doggo is right there. I can hang on, I can boop the dog. There you go. I booped the dog. Ow. That's my desk. Alright. Yeah, as I was saying, that build eventually ended up using all of the resist nodes except for Alira, because I ran 5 uniques, or 5 uniques for Endgame, which meant that my resist scenario was pretty piss poor. Until late game when I got an Astral Plate, which is a chest piece that gives plus 8 to 12% all res as like an implicit bonus on it, and it has a nice amount of armor. So it's probably something I'm going to be using on this, or I'll be showcasing in the crafting series when it comes to the chest pieces scenario. You can see all the extra elemental damage going off, by the way. That's the totems I was talking about, all the ice damage and that sort of stuff. So if you're speed leveling a character and you don't have much resist, don't feel too bad about dying here. That is the quest objective, but we can't go there just yet. because there's an NPC you need to kill in here called the Desecrated Queen or something. There she is, Dishonored Queen, who will drop the key for it. And then after that we can progress forward. So she does massive like lava pools that you don't want to stand in because you'll die very quickly. Multi-strike is not going to help my case here, but trying to stay back a little bit, keep the totem up for extra damage. She is going to try and run away from you, which is going to be kind of annoying, but I am playing Sunder, so I have that added little bit of range, and it works alright. It works out alright for me. Also making sure I stun her quite a bit with good old Vol Ground Slam. Makes life not that difficult. Now we're going to come up here, and we are going to get ready to face Tukohama. You enter this act, and then like 10 seconds later you're in a boss fight. It's kind of weird because there's 3 boss fights in this act, and they're all very close together. Like you'll do one boss fight, then you'll get to the next one and be like, what the fuck, I'm at a second one already? And then the second to third boss fight takes a little longer because you have to deal with very annoying areas in between. Yeah. So you can see I'm taking fire damage from the totem and cold damage at the same time. So this is why endurance charges are so nice, right? Because my resists didn't look capped, right? But I do have 4 endurance charges now, and that's where why they're so useful. Endurance charges are 4% all resist per charge. Now with this Juggernaut build, hopefully, depending how I do things, I should end at, I want to say 7-8 charges. So that on its own, I think 7 or 8 times 4. I don't remember the exact math. Oh no, does dog want out? I think dog wants out. Yeah, pupper wants out. Alright, hang on momentarily. Oh, my dog lives such a tough life. Hold on. Yes, pupper. Alright, run free. Oh man, she's a cute dog, but she's a pain in my ass sometimes. Alright, anyways. As I was saying, I should end at roughly 8-ish charges. The maximum you can get, I believe, is like 10 to 11. That's with like full endgame gear built around endurance charges. I don't know if it's really worth it to do that sort of thing, but it is an option. And the reason for that is, you know, you would get high, what is it? You get nice and high resists. You would get, fuck, what else is it? You go Juggernaut, you can get some extra AoE and that sort of stuff. Okay, Tukohama. Big totem, big Scorching Ray. You can't kill the totem. The totem will always be turning, which is mildly annoying once you get to the second phase. Now, there is a bug with this boss fight that you may encounter depending on how many times you die. So essentially, if you die in this fight and you come back in, there's about a 50% chance you don't see the Scorching Ray. It just disappears off your screen. I'm not kidding. It's pretty fucking brutal. I've had it happen to me on stream before. And yeah, so there is that. Now the way you fix it is die again. I'm not kidding. Die again, leave the arena, portal out. That's like the best option you've got to try and bring it back. But yeah, you can kind of tell even where it is when, what is it, when you can't see the beam. Okay, got him to 50%, and he's going to drop all these totems down alongside, you know, his normal adds. Now, essentially, you're going to damage them as you rotate around the room. They don't regenerate, so try and get as much damage as you can without multi-strike deciding to hit the invulnerable boss. And try and get the extra damage in there. And then keep running around from the totem in the center to avoid as much damage as possible. This multi-strike is going to be real triggering for this fight. This is why Vol Ground Slam exists. Alright, that one's dead. Come around, get this one. Take it nice and slow. Got some decent damage on this build, if I'm honest. Actually doing quite alright. I mean, yeah, there's builds that just destroy the planet in 2 seconds, but still. I prefer for a simple showcase like this to be, how do I say it? I don't know. Simple and consistent, that's the words I'm looking for. Alright, let's see if I can turn this thing all the way around here. So what I can actually do is wait up here, turn this totem thing around, and then hop this way. And now I've got extra time to just tunnel DPS into this thing. And there we go. You can kind of bait the totem a little bit, because, I mean, it does a lot of consistent fire damage. So, I mean, since you can run through or around the totem very, very easily, it's kind of better to fight it on the back instead. Especially when you're down to a point where it's just you and the boss. Staying close to the totem and managing to stay behind wherever the Scorching Ray is going is probably one of your better options. This fight, as you can see, is also why I cap fire res as fast as possible. Because, yeah, that Scorching Ray totem is all fire damage and will fuck you up very quickly and very, very heavily. But, yeah. So boss fight within, what? I mean, we're 30 minutes in now because I was talking quite a bit. But, yeah, boss fight in, what, 10, 15 minutes of gameplay after you get to this act? It's alright. I'll take an upgraded mana flask, why not? And then, now, one thing that we need to kind of touch on a little bit is that this act is where prophecies, or is it prophecies? Pantheons. Pantheons, and I don't mean the League of Legends hero who stuns you and one-shots you. I mean Pantheons that give you bonuses. This is a brand new screen that, if I'm honest, is pretty fucking terrible and pretty useless. Well, not useless. I need to clarify that one before the comment section fucking eats me alive. Not useless, but underwhelming. Let's just put it that way. You get extra bonuses, and you can pick one of the large ones and one of the small ones as you come across them. You unlock these by killing bosses throughout the next 4 acts. These are from main bosses or main quest bosses. Most of them are, anyways. However, you get these from main quest and side quest bosses. Now, that being said, the devs actually did this quite well, which is that these are only from skill point quest bosses or main quests. So you don't have to go and do some extra side quest that gives you like a respec point or something just because you want the Pantheon. They're all going to be unlocked for you if you follow the basic path that I laid out for you of, going to the end game and doing nothing but side quest skills. Side quest, fucking brain power is not here. Try again tomorrow. Yeah. Now, Pantheons aren't really that great. I mean, they're okay. I just kind of set them and forget them. If I'm honest with you, I've had some builds that I've got to endgame and been like, oh right, I should do Pantheons now. They're pretty much that forgettable, unless there's like very select scenarios that they can do a lot for you. The biggest one is Righteous Fire. Pantheons can actually do quite a bit for you, because there's, I believe it's this one or one of these two, that makes it so you take less damage over time. Righteous Fire does damage over time to you consistently while it's on, so it just does less. And then there's one that makes it so you take less burning damage while moving, which is gimmicky as fuck, but the damage over time is considered burning damage. So while you're moving, you're taking less damage from Righteous Fire. So in that case, turning on your Pantheons is very, very helpful for Righteous Fire builds. For everything else, I mean, it's okay, but it's not gonna be the, oh my god, now I'm unkillable type of thing, at least from my experience. The one up here, this left one, as you progress farther into the game, I'll kind of cover these a little more. But this left one, I believe it's Brine King or Gruthcole, one of these two. It will make it so that if you get stunned, you can't be stunned again for like the next 2 to 3 seconds. Now, why that's useful is because you can't be stun chained. Now, I have Unwavering Stance in my skill tree because I'm Marauder, right? And what that does is it makes it so you just can't be stunned, right? So I don't have to worry about that. But if you're playing like a Witch or a Shadow or a Ranger and you cannot be stunned, the best option for you is to just take that node. Doesn't mean that you can't be stunned, it just means you can't be stun locked to death and die instantly, right? You have mitigations against that. And that's basically what this whole screen kind of entails, is a little bit of extra mitigation for whatever you're doing. If you're running Labyrinth, there's actually a Pantheon in here that will make it so you take less damage from bleeding while moving, which is the only damage type that the Saw Blade traps and that sort of stuff in the Labyrinth do. They do consistent bleeding damage while you stand in them. So in that case, taking that Pantheon makes doing Labyrinth very, very Very, very much easier is what my brain tried to say. I'm really not here today, but still. Yeah, so that's a rather decent option. And then generally some of my go-to ones is it's one of these two, and it's like the more enemies near you, you get increased movement speed and phys damage reduction. That's like the main one that I choose because I like to play melee, right? I play the melee tank, and that's just extra physical damage reduction. And yeah, it's pretty decent. Honestly, this one is going to be pretty good for us. This is the first one we get. But while stationary, gain an additional physical damage reduction every second up to a maximum of 8%. That's very nice. It's essentially 8% armor while you stand still. Now, the underneath tier of this is going to be an upgrade for it. You can actually upgrade your Pantheons, however, you have to invest into that late game, and it gets a little weird to do. I may show you how to do it just for, completion's sake, but for the record, it's something that I never do, ever, because you have to do it on an individual character basis. It's not account-wide, and that is massively fucking annoying. If it was account-wide or whatever, or like league-wide, I may actually go about doing it sometimes, but the upgrades are minuscule at best in most scenarios, unless you need something very, very niche, and, you have to do it on every single character. And for those of us who re-roll very often or like trying a lot of different builds, I just don't feel like doing that, honestly. Having to run very specific maps with a Divine Vessel and then kill the boss and do all that sort of shit. It's just, I don't care. I just really don't care. It's not worth it to me. But this one's pretty decent because it makes us tankier while we stand still. And of course, multi-strike, we can't move and we're rooted still. So damage reduction is very, very nice. But that is going to be Tukohama dead. And episode 22 coming to a close. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned something. And as always, take care, gentlemen. I shall see you in the next one.